Good morning, fam. Good evening. Or good night. Hey guys. What's up, Wing Chun? How's it going? Nayla, what's up? Nice of you to join. Hey, Hope. How's it going? Nikki. Nikki, glad you could join. What's up, Bigfoot? Hey, Dan. How's it going? Hey, Casey. Casey Clayton. Yeah, yes. Let's see if you can get a song this time. Can you? What's up, Jessica? Glad you could join. Oh, guys, I feel so dirty today, and not in the good way. I didn't shower. I didn't shower this morning. Usually I shower in the morning, but I had to do something this morning really early, so I didn't have time to shower. Yeah. So I didn't get home until just before now. So I haven't showered. I don't know about you, but if I don't shower for a day, I feel really dirty. Like my hair feels like it's super oily right now. What's up, Greek yogurt? How's it going? Hey, Kai. Sergeant Rocco. What's up, Jet Samad? What does that mean? No hugs tonight? What do you mean? Because I'm dirty? Okay. What's up, Aki-san? All right. Before we get started, did you guys see this? Oh my god. So you guys remember Wombo Art? That was the AI art, the AI program that can draw art. That was pretty cool, right? We looked on it. We looked at it on stream. However, there's a new AI, and it's super good. Okay. Okay, it makes Wombo look like an amateur. Did you guys see? You won't hug me if I feel greasy? Gotcha. Did you guys see this Dali thing? Oh my god. Okay. So apparently, it's a program. We can't use it yet, okay? It's not available to the public. However, you can basically tell it to draw anything, and it'll draw it. So you can say like, hold on. This is so cool. This is like the future right here. I don't think enough people are talking about it. So you give it a prompt, and it'll just draw it. So like, if you give it a prompt that says teddy bears mixing sparkling chemicals as mad scientists in a steampunk style, right? It'll draw it for you. This is the AI drawing. This is like 10 times better, 100 times better than Wombo. Like, it's really good. Look at this. You say Shiba Inu dog wearing a beret and a black turtleneck. It'll draw it. It'll draw it for you. It's so good. It'll draw it in any style. If you wanted it to draw in Van Gogh style, like Vincent Van Gogh, it'll draw it in his style. It's so good. I don't know, guys. This is like a game changer, okay? It takes like a few seconds. It's not available to the public yet. But I think they're still trying to fix some things. But like once they perfect it, like anyone can just make any kind of artwork. It's so cool. Look at this. You can just give it any prompt. A bowl of soup that looks like a monster knitted out of wool, and it draws it. You can tell your 4-year-old daughter, wait, your 4-year-old granddaughter to draw you anything, and it's always a Picasso. True. You can tell it to draw in Picasso style. It'll draw it. I don't know. I'll be watching this. Okay, I'll be watching this. If it comes out, it'll be so cool. Yeah, like anyone can just make stock photography. Like I don't think it'll replace artists. It may replace some kind of like artist some artwork, right? Some kind of like it'll be really easy to make stock photography, like stock artwork. I don't think it can make animations yet, right? So animators and illustrators will not be out of a job yet, but maybe in the future. However, if you wanted stock, like some stock footage, or maybe it's just, well, not footage, right? You can't do videos, but just some stock photography. I think like you don't need an artist. You can just use this thing once it becomes available. Can it do anime? Yeah, it can. It can do anything, any style, basically. Let's see. Look at this. A photo of a quaint flower shop store. Wait, hold on, wait. Teddy bears working on new AI research on the moon in the 1980s. Look, it draws it. It knows. It knows what you're trying to do. But anyways. All right. Anyways, let's do the Wordle. Okay, then we get started. All right. I think we're getting really good at this. We're getting really good at this. Or not. Oh. Oh, shit. Ah. What is this word? There's only one vowel? Like read? Reads? Deeds? Deer? Ever? Evie? Evie. I don't think that's the word. Weed. Damn it. It must have at least two E's, right? It's gotta be. Emery. Oof. Oh, this is hard. Fair. Feed. Why do I always end up with a D here? There's no D. Deets. Like, give me the deets. Beats. No, there's no S or T. Bees. Busy. Bees. I'm very busy right now. Beast. Beak. Big. Beef. Beefy. Oof. Let's try it. Okay. DEXE. ED? No, XE. Wedge. Wedge? Wedge? Is there another word? Bedge? Hedge. Oh, hedge, wedge. What else? Ledge. Oh no, there's too many words. Kedge, jedge, hedge. We gotta eliminate the consonants, the possible consonants here. There's too many possible letters here. There's wedge, hedge, ledge. Anything else? So we need a word with W, H, and L. Hole. Oh, okay. Right? Okay. So it must be ledge. No? Ledge. No! This is the first time we've lost. Oh, delve. What kind of a stupid word is delve? What the? Oh my god. This is the first time we've lost on stream. Fuck. Rip. God damn it. Delve. What a stupid word. I hate English. English sucks. Yeah, no one delves anymore. Who says delves? Been binging my videos? That's a song? That's not a song, don't lie. Alright. So remember we're supposed to, okay. We're learning geography, right? We're learning all of the countries in the world. Okay, so North America test quiz. All right, I think I can do this. All right, I think North America should be pretty easy, right? We're not gonna stop until we do this. El Salvador, I believe, is here, right? Okay, Mexico. Guatemala. I think this is Nicaragua. This must be Guatemala. Or this. I think it's this. Oh, that's Nicaragua. So this is Guatemala. Okay. Honduras is this. Costa Rica. This? Okay. Jamaica should be this one. Nicaragua. Dominican Republic. It's one of these two. Okay. Cuba. Canada. Belize. United States. Haiti. Panama. Okay. What was this again? Was this Nicaragua? We missed one. Let's do it again. Belize. All right. Dominican. Jamaica. Canada. Costa Rica. El Salvador. United States. Panama. Mexico. Cuba. Was it this or this? Damn it! This is Guatemala. 80 Honduras. Alright, do it again. US, Belize, Jamaica, Costa Rica, Mexico, Dominican. Look at What was this again? Was this Guatemala or Nicaragua? Cuba? El Salvador? Guatemala, okay. Honduras. Alright, last time. Mexico. Haiti. Belize. US. Dominican. Costa Rica. Panama. It's Guatemala, right? Guatemala. Salvador. Cuba. Jamaica. Canada. Alright, we got it. We got it. This is easy, okay? We're starting easy. In subsequent streams, we'll get progressively harder. Harder and harder. Right. And then for the we'll keep getting harder and harder, okay? And the final boss is Africa. Okay, anyways. Freaking Guatemala and Nicaragua. Guatemala is the northern one. Nicaragua is a few states below that. All right. Anyways, what happened? All right, what happened last week? All right, in our story, what happened? So Chao Feng, he suppresses this coup attempt of the Beggars clan. Okay, remember he's the leader of the Beggars clan. They some rebels attempted a coup, but he suppressed it. All right, so he suppressed it. According to the rules, he's supposed to kill these 4 elders who was part of the coup attempt, but he forgives them, okay, because they did some great deeds in the past that helped the great state of Song China. So he pardons them, okay, and part of in the Beggars clan, part of the rules is that if you pardon someone, you can pardon someone, but you have to shed your own blood to do it. So he pardons these 4 elders, all right? And for each elder, he stabs himself once, okay, with a knife. So he stabs himself 4 times, and he has 4 knives sticking out of his shoulders, right? But he does that to pardon these 4 elders because they seem to be good dudes, okay? Even though they did a coup attempt. And then, so he does that. At that moment, a messenger arrives with a letter with some urgent news. Chao Feng tries to open it, all right, but he's stopped by the arrival of this elder Shu guy, okay? So this is a retired elder of the Beggars clan. He comes in, he stops everything, says, don't open it, all right? And then after him, a bunch of other people came. So we have like this love triangle of Granny and Grandpa Tan. We had the iron-faced judge and his sons, and then the widow of the dead Vice Chief Ma, Madam Ma. They also come. So a bunch of new people come, and Madam Ma, the widow of the dead Vice Chief, she reveals that the Vice Chief, as she was going through his belongings, all right, he's dead now, but she's going through his belongings, and she finds this sealed envelope in his belongings, okay, and the envelope on the outside says that if he died peacefully, they should burn the letter, but if he dies suspiciously, they need to hand this letter to the Beggar clan elders to open, all right. So Vice Chief Ma did die suspiciously, okay, and so Chao Feng was supposed to investigate his death, right? But so he dies suspiciously. So Madam Ma, his wife, his widow, she hands the letter to Elder Shu of the Beggars clan, right? And so it kind of looks like the coup may not be over. There seems to be some plot going on, all right? And it seems to be the bad guy side, or maybe not a bad guy, the side who who is against Qiao Feng, they've invited these like so many people to serve as witnesses to the letter, right? So inside the letter was inside the envelope was 2 letters, right? One letter written by the dead vice chief Ma, and then the second letter written by another mystery person, right? Now this other person seems to be pretty important, but we don't know who it is. And that's it. That's what happened last week. How's that? Nicaragua is the largest with a large lake. Okay. Nicaragua is the largest. Okay, that's good to remember. So Nicaragua is lower south, right? Down south. And Guatemala is the one right next to Mexico. Am I right? Jarrett, thanks so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. And then married his daughters into the imperial court. True. All right, so let's see what's going on. What's going on with this coup attempt? Chapter 16, Reasons of the Past. Oh, wait. Hold on. All right. Chapter 16, Reasons of the Past. All right, looks like we have another translator, a different one this time. Man, we're going through so many translators. Everyone turned their heads and looked behind the apricot trees. A square-faced, big-eared monk, dignified in appearance, wearing an ash-colored robe, stepped out. Elder Shu cried, Reverend Zhi Guang from Mount Tiantai has arrived. 30 years since we last met. Reverend still looks as healthy as ever. Reverend Zhi Guang's reputation was not well known in recent years, so many of the latter generations of the beggar clan does not know his name. But Qiao Feng and the 6 clan elders all stood up and paid him. So this is another person who's coming, a monk. They all stood up and paid him respect, having known of his reputation from before. In the past, the Reverend had sailed the seas to deserted lands and islands looking for medicinal herbs to treat malaria and other illnesses for the common people and other illnesses for the common people in Zhejiang, Fujian, Guangdong, and Guangxi areas. Because of this, the Reverend had caught an illness himself and lost his martial arts. Thus, the gratitudes of the common people for his deeds are not small. Many people came up to salute him. 3 half-sisters so far? Yeah, how many half-sisters does Duan Yu go through? Reverend Ji Guang turned to Chao Qiansun, smiled, and said, Wugong, that is inferior to the opponent when attacked. Wanting to retaliate is already hard. Wugong, that is superior to the opponent when attacked, and choose not to retaliate is even harder. Jiao Qiansun lowered his head as if pondering what was said. Elder Shu said, Reverend Ji Guang's brilliant wisdom and benevolent grace are so widespread that no one dares to disrespect. In the past 10 years, Reverend has not involved yourself with any business in Jianghu, but today you grace us with your presence and bringing the Beggars Clan great honor. I am deeply grateful. Reverend Ji Guang replied, Elder Shu of the Beggars Clan and Iron-Faced Judge Shan of Mount Taishan both asked me to come, so how can I refuse? Okay, so the elder Shu and the iron-faced judge asked this monk to come. The distance between Mount Tiantai and Wuxi is not great. Moreover, this matter deals with the peace and prosperity of the common people. Thus I came when summoned. Xiaofeng thought to himself, so it turns out he was asked here by Elder Shu and Shan Zheng. Reverend Jiguang has a reputation of high prestige and a noble character. There's no way he would be involved with a plot to harm me. Maybe with him being here is a good thing. Chao Qiansun suddenly spoke up. The battle at Quarry Stone Valley outside of Yanmenguan Pass, Reverend Jiguang also participated in it. You can speak about it first. Reverend Jiguang, hearing the mention of Quarry Stone Valley, caused his facial complexion to become distorted, showing an uncomfortable restlessness and a hint of fear, like a person who saw a horrible sight and can't bear to look. So this looks like there's something went on in Quarry Stone Valley. His face then switched to a melancholic look full of pity, let out a long sigh, and said, The sin is really heavy. To speak of this matter brings up feelings of great shame. Everyone, the battle at Quarry Stone Valley took place 30 years ago. Why today bring up this matter? Elder Shu replied, Only because our clan is facing an impending crisis involving the matter in this letter. After speaking, he brought out the letter and handed it over. Reverend Jiguang read the letter from beginning to end, shook his head, and said, Grievances of the past should not be reopened. Why bring up this old matter? According to my opinion, this letter should be destroyed, so it will bring this matter to an end. That is the best solution. Elder Shu retorted, Vice Chief Ma of our clan died a tragic death. If this matter is not investigated carefully, then this injustice suffered by Vice Chief Ma will never be washed away, and it will lead to a disintegration of our clan. Reverend Jiguang could only nod in his agreement. Nod his head in agreement. What you said is true. The Reverend looked up at the late afternoon sky, showing the new moon shining a thin ray of light onto the apricot trees for a long time, then turned to Chao Qiansun and said, Okay, the mistake that I committed many years back, I won't conceal it anymore. I will be straightforward about what happened back then. Zhao Qiansun shook his head. A mistake is a mistake. Why continue to deceive ourselves and others? The Reverend turned to the people gathered and spoke. 30 years ago, heroes of the realm of rivers and lakes received news that a group of Khitan warriors planned to launch a sneak attack on the Shaolin Temple to steal martial art manuals developed over the past hundreds of years. This translator already used the word matter 10 times. Yeah. This translator is not that good, but passable. Everyone gasped softly, thinking to themselves, the ambitions of these Khitan warriors are not small. So 30 years ago, there was like some Khitan warriors. Remember, Khitan is in the northeast. Khitan warriors planned to launch a sneak attack on the Shaolin Temple to steal some martial arts. The unique martial arts secrets of Shaolin Temple are the treasures of the Great Song. Liao and Great Song had been at war with each other for many years. If these Khitan succeeded in stealing the martial arts secrets of Shaolin and trained their military in them, the armies of the Great Song will not be able to repel their invasions. Reverend Jiguang continued, This matter was a matter of a great crisis. If the Khitans succeeded, then Great Song would be facing a calamity with the threat of losing the country. The entire family of the Emperor will be put to the sword. The matter was urgent, so our group of heroes did not have time to investigate this matter carefully. We heard that the group of Khitans will travel through the Yanmenguan Pass, so beside from sending message to Shaolin to be on full alert, the group all immediately headed out to Yanmenguan Pass to meet the enemy. If we couldn't annihilate that group, then at least we can foil their plans. Hearing of the impending battle with the Khitans, everyone's blood started to boil. Great Song, over the years, has been humiliated by the armies of Liao. Having lost many battles, land was invaded, and the common people suffered greatly. Reverend Ji Guang slowly turned his head, stared at Qiao Feng, and asked, Chao Bangzhu, if Bangzhu had known of this news then, what would you have done? Qiao Feng dignifiedly replied, Reverend Ji Guang, my wisdom is limited, my abilities too lacking for people to praise. Even brothers in the clan suspect of them, that to even speak of it brings shame. But even though I am incompetent, I still am a man, and regarding these matters of principle, one knows what is right and what is wrong. Our great song has constantly been terrorized by armies of Liao. This dishonor upon our country, who here has never thought of cleansing? If I had heard of news such as those, I would immediately lead brothers in our clan to travel day and night to help stop them. Those words of his were very heroic and proud. Everyone who heard was touched inside and thought to themselves, now that is how a true man should act. Reverend Ji Guang nodded and said, Since Qiao Bangzhu said that, when I headed out to Yanmenguan Pass to ambush the Khitans, there is nothing wrong with that, right? Qiao Feng angrily thought to himself, who does this old man think he is? Saying that, isn't it just like looking down on me? However, he betrayed no emotions and just calmly said, the heroic spirit of all seniors here are fierce. I greatly admire them. I regret that I was not born 30 years earlier so that I could follow the heroes to fight the Khitans. Reverend Ji Guang looked at him carefully once more. His facial expressions were strange, and slowly said, at that time, we split up into small groups, heading to Yanmenguan Pass. I and this brother here, he pointed to Zhao Qiansun, and continued, were in the first group. Okay, so these people are kind of related, right? So this monk, this Reverend Qi Guang, and Zhao Qiansun, they were at the Yanmenguan Pass together. I and this brother here were in the first group. Our group consisted of 21 people. Brother leader was younger than I by a few years. However, his martial arts were outstanding, and many people revered his status in the martial arts world. Thus, we all nominated him to be our leader. Everyone listened to him and carried out his orders. In our group, there were Wang Banzhu of the Beggar's Clan, 10,000 Winds Saber, the hero Wang Liaoying, the great sword god priest Yun of Mount Huashan. They were all first-class martial arts masters. At that time, I had yet to become a monk, and to be grouped together with such heroes I felt very unworthy. Only that my desire to serve my country, to kill enemies, did not allow for me to be polite and stand in the rear of that group. When it came to fighting enemies and protecting the country, every little strength that can be contributed should be contributed. The martial arts of these brothers were much greater than my own. As for nowadays, as you may know, there is no need to compare anymore. Zhao Qiansun added, that's correct. At that time, my martial arts were much greater than yours, as much as this As he said that, he spread both his arms out wide to show the difference, but seeing that the distance was still not enough, he tried spreading out his fingertips to add a few inches. Reverend Ji Guang just continued with his story. Our group reached Yanmenguan Pass and waited until near dusk, then went out beyond the Great Wall 10 more miles. We were on guard and very careful the whole time. Suddenly, in the northwest direction, we heard sounds of horses running. Listening to the sound, there were at least 10 riders. Brother leader, this is the leader, raised his right hand up, and all of us halted. Hold on. Brother leader raised his right hand up, and all of us halted. Everyone in the group were both excited and worried. No one dared to say a word. Excited because the news was not false, and the group arrived in time to stop the enemies. However, also worried because everyone knows that these Khitans must be very fierce and capable to even dare to attack Shaolin, who is the Mount Tai of martial arts studies. If they were friendly, then they wouldn't have come, but since they came, they couldn't be friendly at all. These warriors must have been chosen very carefully, one chosen out of 10,000, so they must not be ordinary. Great Song had fought many battles with the Khitans. Defeats were many, but victories few. The outcome of the battle would be hard to imagine. Brother leader waved his hands, and all 21 of us spread out around the mountain road and hid among the boulders. The left side of the mountain was a deep valley where the bottom could not even be seen. The sound of hoofbeats started getting nearer and nearer. There was a sound of 7 or 8 people together, singing a song native to the people of Liao. The singing was gracefully long, both grand and heroic, but none of us could understand its meaning. I tightened the grip on my saber. My palms were so drenched in cold sweat that I had to dry them on my pants, but it soon became wet again. Brother leader was bending down to the side of me. Knowing that I was nervous, he patted my shoulder, looked at me, and gave a smile. He made a chopping motion with his hand as if to say, "We will kill all of the Khitan soldiers today." I smiled back at him. Inside, I felt much calmer than before. When the person in the lead of the Khitan group were about 50 meters away from us, I peeked out from behind a boulder. The Khitan warriors were all wearing fur, some holding spears, some with short sabers, others with bows and arrows, and a few had large hawks perched on their shoulders. The whole group was singing as they walked, unbeknownst to the ambush up ahead. In a brief second, I had took in the appearances of the Khitans in front. They had short hair and thick beards. All looked fierce. As they got closer, my heart was beating so furiously that I felt it was My heart was beating so furiously that it felt like it was closed. It was close to jumping out of my mouth and out my body. The people hearing Reverend Ji Guang telling the story, though all knew this story took place 30 years ago, they couldn't help but feel suspenseful. Reverend Ji Guang turned again to Qiao Feng and said, "Qiao Bangzhu, the success or failure of this mission would influence the safety of the Great Song, along with the lives of millions of people, and we still do not have a grasp on whether we would be successful. The only advantage we had was that the enemies were in the light, while we were in the dark. According to Bangzhu, what should we have done?" Qiao Feng replied, "There is an old saying, all's fair in war. This matter is involving 2 countries at war. There's no way we can follow the heroic moral ethics code of Jianghu. The distant dogs had always slaughtered the people of Great Song. Have they ever held back? In my opinion, we must use concealed projectiles coated with deadly poison." Reverend Jiguang clapped his hand against his thigh and said, "Good. The suggestion of Qiao Bangchu is exactly like the thinking of our group. Brother leader, seeing the Khitans had come close enough, cried out a sound, and everyone let loose their concealed weapons and projectiles. Flying out, there was an abundance of steel darts, steel arrows, flying daggers, iron awls, each and every one were all coated with deadly poison. The Liao dogs screamed out in confusion, then fell over and screamed no more." Why are there so much advertising today? What's going on? In the group of beggars listening, some clapped their hands and cheered. Reverend Jiguang continued. "At that point, I had counted clearly. The group of Khitan warriors had 19 people. Our concealed weapons had slain 12, leaving 7 still standing. Our group, all to a man, jumped out, raising our sabers and swords, cut down all remaining in a flash. None was able to escape." Some listening in the beggar clan group cheered once more. However, both Qiao Feng and Duan Yu pondered in their head. The Reverend had said that these Khitans were all chosen carefully among the best of the best warriors, so how could their skills be so mediocre as to die in such a short time? There was a sound of Reverend Jiguang heaving a long sigh. Our group just barely raised our arms and had easily killed 19 Khitan warriors. All were ecstatic, but also felt uneasy. This group was too ordinary. Not a single person lasted more than one move. Definitely are not skilled warriors. Was the news that we heard inaccurate? Or did the Khitans plan this so that they could trap us? We exchanged only a few words with each other before we heard the sound of a horse. In the northwest direction, there were 2 riders coming this way. You were going to ask if we could get more ads on the screen? So many ads today. What's going on? This time, our group did not bother to ambush anymore. We all headed straight to meet the enemy, without consulting with anybody. Immediately, we saw that the enemy included a man and a woman. The man's body was powerfully built. His facial expression was solemn. His clothing was more expensive and better looking than all those other 19 Khitans. The woman was young looking, and in her hands was a little baby. The 2 people were shoulder to shoulder, smiling and talking very intimately. Obviously, they are husband and wife. The 2, upon seeing us, were greatly surprised and looked around and saw the corpse of those 19 warriors all lying on the ground. The man immediately changed his countenance to a fierce and aggressive look, loudly shouting questions at us in a Khitan language that none of us understood what he was trying to say. Shangxi Datong Government Office's Iron Tower third brother, Feng Daxiong, raised his iron rod up and shouted loudly, "You Khitan dogs there, surrender and accept your fate." He shouted and at the same time wielded his iron rod to strike down the Khitan man. Brother leader in his stomach felt uneasy and was about to yell out, "Brother Feng, don't be reckless. Do not kill him. We must capture him alive to question him." Brother leader had not finished his sentence before the Khitan's right hand had moved forward, snatching the iron rod away from Feng Daxiong. A sound of bones breaking emitted from Feng Daxiong's hands. Seeing that person was about to strike with the rod from midair down, our group started yelling out, knowing that we wouldn't be fast enough to charge forward to save Feng Daxiong's life. Thus, we started shooting our hidden projectiles at the enemy. The Khitan man only needed to wave his left arm once, and a powerful wind forced all of the projectiles to harmlessly land on the side. Looks like Feng Daxiong's life could no longer be saved. However, unexpectedly, he threw the iron rod forward, sending both it and third brother Feng crashing out to the side of the road. His mouth mumbling, did not know what to say. In just one move, it caused our whole group to stand in shock, witnessing that the level of this person's martial arts are so high that it is rare to see one of such caliber in the world. So the news that we received are not false, and fearing that following him there will be more first-class masters approaching. Thus we must use our large numbers to immediately overwhelm him. 6 or 7 people charged forward to attack him, and 4 or 5 others moved to take on the female. Unexpected, the young married female did not know martial arts. She was slashed just once and lost her arm. Oh no! And lost her arm, causing the baby in her hand to fall to the ground. Another person then hacked with a saber, cutting off half of her head. The Khitan man's martial arts, although high, but he was also surrounded by 6 or 7 other skilled fighters, so it was impossible for him to rush over to protect his wife and child. The first few moves, he just snatched away our weapons and swords, carefully trying not to injure anybody. However, when seeing his wife being killed, his eye turned blood red. His face looked fearsome. When I saw his sight then, my hands and feet felt like lead and dared not go forward. What's going on, right? What is going on? Like, if this was an invasion group, why bring your wife and kid with you? Yeah, and your wife and kid did not know any martial arts. Yeah, the baby's martial art, not very high. Not so good. Zhao Qiansun added, "Can't blame you for feeling such. Can't blame you for feeling such." Ever since he talked to Granny Tan earlier, whoever talked to him were met with either crankiness or rudeness. However, the sentences that he just let out seemed like its meaning was partly painful and partly regretful. They attacked the wrong caravan? Yeah, maybe. Reverend Ji Guang continued, "The fierce battle then already took place 30 years ago. Over the past 30 years, I don't know how many nightmares I had regarding the sight I saw. Every image imprinted deeply in my head. The Khitan man brought both his palms forward. I don't know what palm techniques he used, but he snatched the weapons right out of the hands of two of our brothers, same time using it to both slash and stab, killing those two. He at times fought on the ground, then leaped back to continue on the saddle of his horse, bold and fast, like a bird pecking a worm. He moved like a ghost or a demon. That's right, he was no different than a demon. Finished killing a person to his west, then he turned in a blink and killed a person to his east. In just a moment, out of 21 people in our group, 9 people had already been killed. Now everyone was furious. All eyes were red. Brother leader with Wang Bangju and the rest of us." So Wang Bangju was the previous chief of the Beggars clan. So he was there too. Right? He was a chief before Qiao Feng. "Brother leader with Wang Bangju and the rest of us all jumped into the fray, willing to trade our lives for his. Shockingly, his martial arts was so strange that one could not even imagine, nor could one even predict from which direction his attacks would be coming from. The setting sun in the sky was shining red like blood. There, outside of the Yanmenguang Pass, the northern wind blowing furiously mixed with the crying sounds of past heroes right before their death. Limbs, arms and feet, heads, weapons, blood were flying and falling all over the place. Whoever was skilled was only able to protect themselves. No one was able to help anyone. No one was able to help anyone else. Seeing the circumstances, I was truly frightened, but seeing that my brothers were falling one by one, that sight cannot help but cause one's blood to boil. I gathered all my courage, got on a horse, and charged directly at him, both my hands holding a saber aimed for his head, and slashed down, knowing that if this move does not connect, then my life will be handed over to him. When the edge of the saber was barely a meter away from him, the Khitan man suddenly grabbed hold of another person and held him up to block. I shockingly looked and saw that the person being held up was the second senior from the band of 3 heroes of Jiangxi Du. I hurriedly pulled back my saber. This guy just nonchalantly took a person and just held him up to block. I hurriedly pulled back my saber, but the edge of the saber went right into the head of the horse I was riding, hitting it with a clang. The animal was in such pain that it neighed a loud sound, and it jumped up. At that moment, the Khitan man sent out a palm strike right at the moment the horse jumped up, so that the horse took the full brunt of that strike for me. If not for that, my bones would have all been smashed, and how could I have survived to this day? The force of his palm strike was truly terrifying. It sent both horse and rider flying out to the back. My body, flying in midair, smashed right on top of some tree branches. I was stunned and phased, not knowing where I am, nor did I know whether I was alive. It was a long time before I was able to look down and saw my brothers still surrounding and fighting the Khitan man. Only 5 or 6 people were still standing. At that time, I also saw this brother here. Reverend Jiguang pointed to Zhao Qiansun and continued. His body shook once, then fell into a pool of his own blood. I thought he must have been dead. Zhao Qiansun shook his head and said, "To speak of this story, I am very ashamed. But why bother hiding it anymore? It wasn't because I was injured, but because I was so scared that my heart stopped beating. I saw that person holding Brother Du's 2 legs and tearing his whole body in half. I was so dizzy that I fell unconscious only because of that reason. That's right, I am a coward, seeing that person kill so many people that I became unconscious." So the guy fainted. That's how he survived. Reverend Jiguang spoke again. The Khitan man was deadly, like a devil, while killing numerous brothers. Whoever says that they did not feel fear are being deceitful. He then looked up and stared at the moon hanging from the sky for a long time, then continued. At that point, our side only still had 4 people still fighting the Khitan man. Brother leader, knowing that the end was near, knowing that all would die, opened his mouth asking, "Who are you? Who are you?" The other person did not reply. In just a few moments, he killed 2 more people. He then drew out his right foot, and it hit Wang Bangzhu right on the vital pressure points on his back, while his left foot went out to finish the move, twin ducks linking together, hitting brother leader's vital pressure point on his ribs. He used his legs to hit the pressure points precisely and powerfully, knocking them out. His footwork was so impressive that it was unthinkable. If I was not almost on death's door, then, seeing the 2 people I respected most being seriously wounded, a scream would have escaped my mouth. Boop, boop, boop. Bravehorn. No, you're not late. You're just in time. The Khitan man finished taking care of all his enemies, then rushed over to the side of his dead wife's body, holding it while crying, and let out a loud, mournful cry for a long time. Hearing his weeping sounds, I could barely withstand the sadness, surprised to see the Khitan dog, who was as cruel as a devil could also show a sorrowful sentiment, resembling a human, no different from the sound of those of our Han people. I like how he's surprised that this Khitan guy has human emotions. He's sad that his wife died. Zhao Qiansun coldly said, "If that is so, then what is so strange about it? Even wild animals have parent-child, husband-wife sentimental relationships. How is that any different than humans? The Khitans are still humans. How are they any different than Hans?" True. In the group of the Beggars clan, someone screamed out, "Liao dogs are evil and cruel, even worse than poisonous snakes and wild beasts. our Han people are entirely different. Chao Qiansun could only smile bitterly and did not answer those words. Reverend Qi Guang went on with his story. The Khitan man sat there and cried, both holding tight and looking at his son for a long time. Then he placed his son into the bosom of his dead wife and walked over to where Brother Leader's body lied. He let loose his anger by screaming and scolding at Brother Leader. Brother Leader did not submit, but just glowered at him. His pressure points were hit. His movements and speech were sealed. He could not even mutter a word. The Khitan man suddenly raised his head and let loose a long scream. He picked up a saber from the ground and started carving words on the face of the mountain. At that time it was dark and I was lying far away, so I could not see what was written. Zhao Qiansun said, "He was carving words in Khitan. Even if you could see it, you still wouldn't have been able to read it." Reverend Qi Guang replied, "That is right. Even if I saw it, I could not read it. On the cliff it was silent on all sides. The only sounds heard were that of the saber carving into the stone. Listening to the sound of the stone chips falling down, I dared not even breathe hard. I did not know how long it was before he finally threw down the saber. He bent down to pick up his wife's corpse and his son, then walked to the edge of the cliff and jumped to the bottom of the canyon." All right, this is a good time for a break, right? Let that soak in. Let that story soak in. All right, be right back. 5 minutes. And we're back. All right, let's try to summarize the story so far, right? Okay, so 30 years ago, they got news that a group of Khitan warriors were going to come to Song, China, and try to steal some martial arts manual from the Shaolin Temple, right? So a group of heroes got together to try to stop them, right? So this group of heroes, they get there to this this pass. What was it called? Whatever. To this pass, and they see a group of people walking, a group of Khitan people, and they attack. And it was super easy. They killed a bunch of people, right? And so they're like, "This is so weird, right? Why did these people die so easily?" And then they see a couple, a husband and wife, and the wife is carrying a baby. They attack those people. The wife and baby didn't know any martial arts, so they were defeated very easily. But the dude, the Khitan man, was super powerful. He defeats everyone, but then he sees his family dead before him, so he super sad. He takes a sword and writes a bunch of Khitan words on the cliff side, I guess. And then he cries, and then he carries his, he holds his wife and son, and he jumps down the cliff. Okay, so that's what happened 30 years ago. All right, well, let's continue. So here, he walked to the edge of the cliff and jumped to the bottom of the canyon. Everyone hearing that couldn't help but let out a sound. Ah! It was unexpected that the story would turn out so. Reverend Ji Guang continued. Everyone hearing this retelling must be surprised. At that time, with my own eyes witnessing that, I was even more shocked. A person with a high level of martial arts as him, living in the kingdom of Liao, must have had a high rank. This time, when the group of Khitan warriors coming south of the Yellow River to attack the Shaolin Temple, if he was not their leader, then at least he must have been one of their important characters. He had captured our group's leader along with Wang Bangzhu, and the rest were all killed. It seems like he had won. Who would have thought that he would jump down the cliff to commit suicide instead of taking advantage of his victory and moving forward with his mission? I looked downward, and all I could see was clouds and fog. The bottom could not be seen. He is still made of flesh and blood, no matter how powerful his martial arts was. To jump from such a height, there was no way he could have survived. I startled myself and could not bear, but called out a cry. Turns out, in this weird event, there's another, even weirder one. I had just finished yelling when there was a sound of a baby crying. From the bottom of the cliff was a black bundle, flew up, and landed right on top of the body of Wang Bangzhu. The sound of a baby crying did not stop, but continued. It seems the bundle that landed on Wang Bangzhu was the little baby from earlier. At that point, I had stopped being scared and jumped down from the tree. I ran up to Wang Bangzhu and saw that the Khitan baby was lying on top of him, still crying. I thought to myself for a bit before I understood fully what happened. When the Khitan woman was killed, the baby she was holding fell to the ground, causing the baby to fall unconscious and stopped breathing. But it wasn't entirely dead. The Khitan man, when he was crying sorrowfully, touched his son's nose and saw that he was not breathing, so thought that the son had died. Thus he carried the two corpses and jumped down the cliff to die together. The sudden shock jolted the baby back to life, and it started crying. The Khitan man's skills were shockingly scary. He didn't want his son to be buried with him at the bottom of the valley, so he immediately used his strength and threw the baby up. He remembered the exact distance and location to throw the baby to land it exactly on top of Wang Bangzhu without harming the kid. That Khitan man, when falling in midair, found out his baby was alive. He was quick-witted enough to react and throw the baby up. His skills to be able to throw something that far and that accurate and calculate the exact distance is formidably fearsome. Okay, so it looks like the Khitan guy fell down, but found out that his baby was alive, so he throws the baby back up the cliff, all right, and saves his baby. I looked around at the brothers that died a tragic death. Inside was sorrowful and angry. I grabbed the baby and planned to throw it against the mountain wall for it to die. Just as I raised my hands to throw, the baby started crying. Damn, this guy is. You would kill a baby? The baby started crying. The face was pulsing red. The bright black eyes were wide, staring back at me. If I hadn't looked into the baby's eyes, I would have thrown him already, and that would be the end of the story. However, I had saw the eyes of that small child. The child seemed so lovable and innocent that I could no longer follow through. I thought to myself, if I had bullied and killed the baby, not yet a year old, then that would have been a disgraceful deed, not the act of an upright and respectable gentleman. In the group of the beggars' clan, a beggar shouted out, "Reverend Ji Guang, the Liao dogs killed and murdered our Han people countless of times. With my own eyes, I saw Han babies being speared and carried around upon a lance on top of a horse to parade around town showing off. If they can kill babies, why can't we?" Reverend Ji Guang let out a long sigh and replied, "That is right, but as the saying goes, the darkness in the hearts of man, who here does not have it? That day I saw that the dead were already too many. I couldn't bring myself to add more to it by killing a little baby. Everyone can say what I did was wrong. Everyone can say what I did was cowardly. But in the end, I still let the baby live. Don't worry, dude. I don't think what you did was wrong. You're all right in my book, Reverend Ji Guang. After that, I went to release the blocked pressure points of Brother Leader and Wang Bangzhu, but my skills were mediocre, and plus the pressure point hitting techniques of the Khitan man were top-notch. No matter how much strength I exerted, How much I pressed, how much I rubbed or squeezed, I only succeeded in drowning myself in my own sweat. One annoying bebe. He let the bebe live. No matter what I did, Brother Leader and Wang Bangju still could not move or speak. I did not know what else to do, and fearing the Khitans would soon come to help, so I threw both Brother Leader and Wang Bangju onto 2 horses. I myself rode a horse holding the Khitan baby in one arm, while the reins of the other 2 horses in the other, and ran all night away from Yanmenguang Pass to look for a doctor specializing in releasing blocked pressure points. But that was useless. The next night, after 12 hours have passed, the pressure points released voluntarily. Brother Leader and Wang Bangju were still worried about the Khitan warriors coming to attack Shaolin. So they immediately returned to Yanmenguang Pass to scout out the situation. However, they only saw flesh and blood left all over from the fight before. The sight was no different from how I left it. I looked down the cliff at the quarry stone valley and still could not find any clues. All we planned to prepare for the corpse of our brothers for burial. Wait, what? We all planned to prepare the corpse of our brothers for burial, but when we counted, there were only 17 dead bodies. The number of people that should have died should have been 18. So why is it that we were now missing one? He stopped talking, then looked directly at Chao Qiansun, questioningly. Chao Qiansun, remembering, smiled and said, "In that bunch there was one corpse that had the ability to come back from the dead and be able to walk around to this day. That living corpse is I, Chao Qiansun Li Zhou Chu Zhang Wang." Yes. Reverend Qiguang said, "At that time, the 3 of us thought nothing of it, thinking to ourselves that during that fight, this brother here might have died and fallen down the cliff. So, not seeing his corpse, we did not linger too much on this. After we had properly buried all of the brothers, we were all furious inside. So we threw all the Khitan corpses over the side of the cliff, down into the stone quarry valley. Brother Leader said to Wang Bangzhu, 'Brother Jiantong, that Khitan man, if he wanted to kill the 2 of us, it would have been easy as turning his hand. So why did he just kick us from in our pressure points and allow us to live to now?' Wang Bangzhu replied, 'I have been thinking of that, but still cannot figure it out. The 2 of us were part of the people responsible for killing his wife and son. It is only right that he should have ruthlessly killed both of us.' The 3 of us discussed back and forth, but could not think of a logical reason for what happened. Brother Leader then spoke up. 'He must have carved those letters into the stone with some hidden intent. What a shame that none of us 3 knows the Khitan language.' Brother Leader went down to the river and gathered some water to mix with the blood on the ground, making ink. Then he colored it all over the stone. After that, he imprinted the cliff writing onto a piece of white cloth torn from a gown. The Khitan used only a small saber, but were able to carve letters 2 inches deep into the stone. With this kind of internal power, his skills must have been unparalleled in the world, unmatched by anyone. Looking at the writing, the 3 of us were secretly amazed. The memory of the day before still left a lingering fear in all of us. Returning back inside the Great Wall, Wang Bangzhu went to find a peddler who travels between there and Liao. Since that person knew the Khitan language, we gave him the white cloth to read. He translated it out for us on paper. Ooh, what does it say, guys? What do you think? Ji Guang stopped speaking, looked up at the sky. He sighed and then continued. After the 3 of us read the paper, all we could do was look wide-eyed back and forth at each other. We couldn't believe it. The Khitan man had at that time made up his mind to kill himself, so why would he intentionally lie? We then went to find another person who reads Khitan and had him translate it by mouth, one line at a time. What he said was exactly like the previous translation. God, if that was the truth, then 17 of our brothers had died a meaningless death. Those Khitan warriors had committed no crimes and were wrongfully implicated. As for that pair of husband and wife, towards them we had committed a great sin that could never be undone. Everyone was eagerly waiting to hear the words that were written on the mountain face, but Ji Guang was silent and had stopped talking. People's impatience caused their tempers to flare. Yeah, me too. And they irritably asked, "What did those words say? What sins had you committed towards them? Why do you feel regretful? Why do you feel regret towards the husband and wife?" Ji Guang replied, "My good friends, it is not because I want to keep the meaning of those Khitan words a secret, but it is because if those words that were written were true, then all the actions of brother leader Wang Bangzhu and even mine were greatly in the wrong. We are too ashamed to face anybody. I am only a lowly common person in Jianghu. Even if I did wrong, it will not impact anything in the grand scheme of things. However, regarding Brother Leader and Wang Bangzhu, they are different from me. What kind of rank and status do they hold? Moreover, Wang Bangzhu had passed away. I do not dare to say anything that might ruin the reputation and prestige of these two people. I beg you all for forgiveness. I cannot say it." No, why? The monk is very good with cliffhangers. Why? He's a good storyteller, and he also puts in cliffhangers in his story. What the fuck? The previous Bangzhu of the Bangzhu means chief. The previous Bangzhu of the Beggars clan was Wang Jiantong, whose reputation and prestige were widespread. From Xiaofeng to clan elders to various disciples, all held deep gratitudes towards him. The members of the Beggars clan were extremely curious about the story, but upon hearing that this matter has implications towards the reputation and prestige of Wang Bangzhu, not a single person dared to inquire further. Ji Guang continued talking. "The three of us thought for a time, at first not wanting to believe it, but were forced to accept it, so we decided to temporarily spare the life of the Khitan baby. We decided that we first off should head to Shaolin to see if there were any new developments. If the Khitan warriors actually did attack Shaolin, then we could still kill the baby then. We could still kill the baby. Okay, not too late. We rushed day and night towards Shaolin without stopping. Arriving there, we saw that the number of heroes that had gathered at Shaolin to lend a hand was not small. The news involved the life and death of millions of common citizens, so all it needed was for the news to spread, and numerous people came to help." Reverend Jiguang turned his face from left to right, looking at each person, listening, and then continued. "There were many heroes and revered seniors that came to the gathering at Shaolin that year. I need not go into detail about that. Everyone was on full alert and ready, guarding the temple very tightly. More and more heroes from all corners of the land gathered as time passed, from September at the time of Mid-Autumn Moon Festival, all the way to December. 3 months passed without a single enemy movement. To further investigate the matter, we plan to look for the person who originally spread these news. However, we could no longer find any traces of this person. Only then did we conclude that the news was actually false. Wah, wah, and that we had all been tricked. Both sides had suffered tragic and unnecessary deaths in the battle outside of Yanmenguang Pass." Okay, that news was false. No. However, not long after, Khitan cavalry started invading Hebei, so the matter about the Khitan warriors coming to attack Shaolin was soon forgotten. It did not matter whether they did or didn't come. After all, no matter what, the Khitans were still the mortal enemies of our great Song. Brother leader Wang Bangzhu and I all felt ashamed and regretful about the situation outside Yanmen Guang Pass. The only people we told about it was the abbot of Shaolin and the families of the people who had died. We did not tell another soul except for those people. As for the Khitan baby, he was given into the care of a family of farmers living at the base of Mount Song. The matter had already passed, and deciding how to deal with the baby was quite difficult. We felt a lot of guilt for how we treated his parents, so we could not bear to take the baby's life. However, if we foster the Khitan baby until he grows up and he seeks us out for revenge, then isn't that like raising a tiger and sowing the seeds for disaster? In the end, Brother Leader handed to that peasant family 100 liang of silver and asked them to raise the Khitan baby as their own and not divulge the baby any information about its heritage. That husband and wife did not have any children, so they were overjoyed and accepted immediately. The couple also did not have any idea that this baby was of Khitan descent, because on the way to Mount Song, we had changed the baby's clothes to fit that of a Han baby. They changed the baby to a Han baby. The people of Great Song had great enmity towards the people of Liao that ran deep all the way to their bone marrow. So if they saw a bebe wearing Khitan clothes, then they would cause him harm. Xiao Feng, hearing this, had grasped about 9/10 of the intent. Shakily asked, Reverend Ji Guang, that family at the base of Mount Song, what are their names? Ji Guang replied, Bangzhu must have already figured it out. I don't have any more reason to hide it. That person's surname is Qiao, named Shanghuai. A stunned Xiao Feng yelled out, No! No! Reverend, please stop talking nonsense. Stop fabricating these stories to cause me harm. I am definitely a Han, so how can I be a Khitan savage? Sanhuai is the person that my biological father. The person that wait, what? Sanhuai is that person is my biological father. Reverend, stop talking nonsense. Suddenly he jumped in front of Ji Guang. The left hand snatched the monk's chest. Shanzheng and the four elders called out, Don't! And immediately rushed forward to rescue the monk. But Xiao Feng's lightness skills were great. He jumped and dodged to one side, while still maintaining hold of the reverend with his left hand. The sons of Shanzheng, Shang Chongzheng, Shan Sushan, and Shan Jishan, all three at the same time, charged at the back of Xiao Feng. Xiao Feng, using only his right hand, caught both Shang Sushan and Shan Zhongshan, then threw them far away. Next, he grabbed Shan Jishan, threw him to the ground, and placed his foot, keeping pressure on Jishan's throat. Oh, Dan, you called it? Good job. Nice. Shan family's 5 tigers' reputation and prestige were renowned throughout the whole Shandong region. The 5 brothers had already been famous for a long time, based on their own deeds, definitely not ones who rely on the fortune and fame of their parents. Even then, Xiao Feng easily dispatched the brothers like it was nothing. With his left hand holding Ji Guang, his right hand lashed out to grab. He threw the 3 Shan brothers around like pieces of straw. Not one was able to put up any resistance. People saw this and were shocked. Their jaws dropped in disbelief. This is getting better? Yeah, how many people guessed that? How many people guessed the reveal? I remember watching this as a kid, this TV show, this series. It was a long time ago. But I watched it. I watched this scene and I was like, "Oh my god. Oh my god, my brain was exploding." Shan Zheng, Shan Boshan, and Shan Xiaoshan felt anxious seeing their own flesh and blood in danger, wanted to jump in to help, but Xiaofeng had a foot on Shan Jishan's throat, knowing that his strength was something worth fearing, and all it needed was a press of the foot and Jishan would lose his life. Because of that, the three father and sons dared not to come any closer. Shan Zhen yelled out, "Zhao Bangzhu, if there is any misunderstanding, then let us discuss it. Don't be heavy-handed. Our Shan family does not have any enmity with you. Please, spare my son." Even the famous iron-faced judge were powerless and had to beg Qiao Feng. You love Qiao Feng? You suspected? Elder Shu called out, "Zhao Bangzhu, Reverend Jiguang is a person who everyone in Jianghu respects. You must not harm his life." Qiao Feng's hot blood had boiled, and he said in a loud voice, "Correct. The Shan family and I have no enmities with each other. I also had always respected Reverend Jiguang. If you people want to take away my Bangzhu position, then I will surrender it to you with both hands. But why do you have to create lies to slander me? What sins have I committed that would cause you people to accuse me as such?" The last few sentences, his voice was choked by tears. People who heard were unable to restrain their feelings and started to sympathize with him. The bones on Jiguang's skeleton let out a creaking sound. Everyone knew that his life was teetering on a needle. Whether he lived or died, all were in the hands of Qiao Feng. It was so quiet that one could hear the sounds of the wind beating against the trees, the sound of the insects in the grass, and even the sounds of people breathing. No one dared to make a noise. A short time passed before Chao Qiansun suddenly started laughing. So laughable, so laughable. Han people are not necessarily a cut above other peoples, and aren't Khitan people also are not pigs or dogs? Obviously you are a Khitan, and so why pretend to be a Han? What is there to be ashamed of? You even denied your birth parents and heritage, and here you call yourself a real man. Qiao Feng opened his eyes wide in anger and asked, "Is Senior actually calling me a Khitan?" Chao Qiansun replied, "How can I be sure? But in that battle outside Yanmenguan Pass, that Khitan man we fought, his appearance and face is exactly like yours. That time I was so frightened, I fell unconscious immediately from terror. That man's face I will never forget, even in 100 years. Also, with my own eyes, I saw Reverend Jiguang carrying that Khitan baby back. I am a good-for-nothing corpse that came back to life in this world outside of Xiaojuan. I don't involve myself in the business of anybody, nor do I have any involvement with other matters. If you are, or if you are not the Bangzhu of the Beggars Clan, what does that trifling thing have to do with me? Why would I bring false charges against you? What advantages is there for me to make up a story about helping to kill your parents years ago? Jiao Bangzhu, my martial arts when compared to yours is very lacking. If I don't want to live, If I didn't want to live anymore, wouldn't just killing myself be a better option?" Zhao Qiansun is the only one that has sense among them. Yeah, he's making a lot of sense right now. Qiao Feng slowly put Reverend Jiguang down. He then flicked his foot, and the large body of Shan Jishan flew out and fell to the ground with a thud. Shan Jishan stood up immediately. He was not in the slightest injured. Qiao Feng looked at Jiguang, seeing his face had a confident aura, without the slightest hint of falseness, then asked, "So, what happened afterwards?" Reverend Jiguang replied, "What happens afterwards? You should already know. At age 7, you went to pick chestnuts in the forest, got chased by a wolf, and was rescued by a monk from Shaolin. The monk killed the wolf and treated your injuries. Then, day after day, the monk returned to teach you martial arts. Is this correct? Xiao Feng replied, correct. It seems the Reverend also knew of this matter. Years ago, when Reverend Shuangku passed his martial arts to Qiao Feng, he had ordered him not to tell anyone about it. So in Jianghu, everyone had always thought that Qiao Feng was the direct disciple of Wang Bangzhu of the Beggars clan. Who knew that he and Shaolin Temple had such an old and deep relationship? So when Xiao Feng was young, he was trained in martial arts by a Shaolin monk, right? This Reverend Xuan Ku. So that's probably one of the reasons why he's so powerful. Ji Guang said, that monk from Shaolin was asked by Brother Leader to teach you martial arts and guide you since childhood to keep you from walking down the wrong path. Regarding this matter, Brother Leader, Wang Bangzhu, and I had many disputes. I wanted you to live the life of a common person as a farmer, and did not want you to learn martial arts to keep you away from being involved with the grudges and enmities of Jianghu. Brother Leader said that if we do that, then we will be doing another wrong to your parents. So, to make amends, we must take care of you and develop you into a great hero. Qiao Feng said, All you seniors, why do you feel you will be doing wrong to my parents? People of Han and people of Khitan have been fighting and harming each other for a long time. It is a common thing. There is nothing to be regretful about. Ji Guang sighed and said, The stone writing outside of Yanmenguang Pass to this day still has not faded. Why don't you go and see it? Brother Leader had already made up his mind, and Wang Bangzhu went along with it. There was no way I myself can win the argument. Only when you were 16 years old did Wang Bangzhu receive you as his disciple. After that, there were many chances to get along together. Your natural talent is outstanding and progressed furiously. There was no way an average person can keep up with you. Of course, if Brother Leader and Wang Bangzhu were not behind the scenes helping out, you would not be where you are today. Xiao Feng lowered his head to ponder. Thinking back on his life, he had faced numerous difficulties, but each and every time his bad luck had turned into good. He had not faced much pain or hardships. He had met with many lucky opportunities in life. It came even without asking for it. For a long time, he had thought that it was all due to his luck, but after listening to Reverend Ji Guang, he realized that he had a secret benefactor helping him all those years, and he was ignorant of it. In his head, he was stunned and asked himself, if what the Reverend said was true, then I am a Khitan and not a Han. Wang Bangzhu is not my kind teacher, but the culprit who killed my father, killed my mother, the senior who helped me out in secret. He did not do it with pure intentions, but probably only wanted to make reprimands to relieve himself of his guilty conscience. No, that can't be right. Khitan people are evil and ruthless dogs. They are the mortal enemies of our Han people. How can I be one of those savages? Oh, we got another translator. Let's see how good this one is. Ji Guang continued. Chief Wang was very wary of you at first, but later, seeing you make fast progress in learning martial arts, behaved generously and chivalrously, treat people with clemency, treat him with great respect and prudence, and act to his liking in every aspect. He gradually became really fond of you. Afterwards, as you made more contributions and gained more prestige, from the people at the top to the people at the bottom of the beggar society. Oh no! It's now called the Beggar Society, and not Beggar's Clan. At the bottom of the Beggars' Clan, each and every one honored and submitted to you. Even outsiders also knew that the upcoming chief of the Beggars' Clan would be no one but you. However, Chief Wang had still been undecided about you all along, because you're a Khitan. He tested you with 3 difficult problems, and you got them done one by one. But only after you'd achieved 7 feats did he entrust the dog beating stick to you. The dog beating stick is like the symbol of leadership in the Beggars clan. In the Taishan convention that year, after you defeated 9 strong enemies of the Beggars clan in succession, he then all the more resolutely installed you as the chief of the Beggars clan. As far as Laona, what is that? A term a Buddhist monk calls himself. As far as I know, for the past several hundred years, there has never been another chief of the Beggars clan who had to go through so many hardships like you did. Xiaofeng lowered. Okay, this translator doesn't like to translate, apparently. Xiaofeng lowered his head and said, I only thought that Hanshi, which means kind master, I only thought that Chief Wang intended to train me, making me undergo many hardships so that I'd be able to take on important missions. But it turns out, saying to hear in his heart, he already almost believed that it was true. Jiguang said, I only know as far as here. After you had started to serve as the chief of the Beggars clan, seeing rumors in Jianghu all having it that you acted heroically and valued justice, benefited the common people, behaved without partiality, reorganized the Beggars clan and made it thrive. Inwardly, I felt happy for you. Also, hearing that you'd several times ruined vicious schemes of Khitan people and killed some of their notable figures, I thought that, in that way, our previous fear of nourishing a viper in our own bosoms had become almost as groundless as the fear of the Qi people. This incident should never have been mentioned, but somehow someone uncovered it. This is unlikely to be any good to the Beggars clan nor Chief Chao yourself. Saying to hear, he let out a deep sigh. There was a sorrowful expression on his face. Yeah, true. Like, if no one brought this up, it wouldn't have been a problem. No one would have known any better. But someone did bring it up. Someone uncovered the secret and brought it to light. So who was it? Elder Shu said, Jiguang Daishu. Elder Shu said, Jiguang Daishu, thank you very much for relating past events, making everyone feel as if they were personally on the scene. This letter. He raised that letter with his hand and continued, was written by that leading hero to Chief Wang. In the letter, he made every effort to dissuade Chief Wang from handing over the chief of the Beggars clan's position to Chief Chao. Chief Chao, you may as well have a look at it. When he finished saying, he held out the letter. So the other letter in the envelope was written by that leader, the leader of that group of heroes. Okay. Yeah, so the leading hero is that brother leader that that the other translator talked about. Jiguang said, let me take a look first, to see if it's truly the original letter. When he finished saying, he received and held the letter in his hands, read it one time, and said, correct. This is really the leading big brother's original handwriting. Once he finished saying it, he slightly transferred power into his left hand's fingers to tear off the foot of the letter where there was the sender's name and put it in his mouth. With a bending of his tongue, it was already swallowed into his stomach. So he ripped out the part where it had the name of the leader of that group of heroes, right? And he just swallowed it. He doesn't want anyone to know, this monk. Smart monk. When Ji Guang tore the letter, he had taken several steps towards the bonfire. Thus, he was a bit further apart from Qiao Feng. Moreover, he was putting the letter paper close to his eyes, as if there was insufficient light, and he could not see clearly. Therefore, when he tore off and put the bottom part of the letter in his mouth, the letter paper was just several tsun away from his lips. Xiao Feng could never have expected this old monk of noble character and high prestige to use this cunning trick. With a roar of anger, he struck out with his left palm, hitting the monk's acupuncture points from a distance. His right hand immediately grabbed at the letter, but it was still too late, as the signature at the foot of the letter had already been swallowed by the monk down his throat. Qiao Feng struck out another palm to unblock his acupuncture points and angrily asked, "You! What are you doing?" Ji Guang smiled and said, "Chief Qiao, once you have become aware of who you are, perhaps you will want to seek revenge for the murders of your parents. Chief Wang already passed away, so there's no need to mention him. But I don't want to let you know the name of this leading big brother. I also participated in the ambush against your father and mother that year. I shall expiate all the crimes by myself. If you want to kill me or cut me to pieces, please do not hesitate to do so." Seeing Shi Guang lower his eyes and droop his eyebrows, looking merciful and stately, even though Qiao Feng was very sad and angry, he could not help having a feeling of respect for the monk. He then said, "Whether this matter is true or fake, at the moment I still don't know. Even if I want to kill you, there's no hurry to do so now." When he finished saying that, he gave Chao Qiansun a sidelong look. Chao Qiansun shrugged his shoulders as if he was totally unconcerned about it and said, "That's right, me included as well. You must give me my share of this debt. Just kill me whenever you like." Grandpa Tan loudly said, "Chief Zhao, everything should be considered carefully. Don't act recklessly. If you incited the Hu-Han conflict, every person of exceptional ability in the Central Plains would become your enemy." Even though Qiao Qiansun was Grandpa Tan's love rival, at that time he still raised his voice in support of him. Qiao Feng let out a cold laugh, feeling utterly confused and not knowing how to reply. He then had a look at the letter in the firelight, only seeing it read, "My elder brother Jianran, after several nights of discussion, your idea of handing over your position has always been unchanged." So this is what the letter is saying. "However, after thinking about it carefully for several days, I still believe that it is inadvisable. Brother Qiao is a man of extraordinary talents. He has made many great contributions and behaved himself courageously and righteously. Not only is he the outstanding figure in the beggar clan, but in the whole of Wulin in the divine land. There are only a very few people who can come close to him. If this talent inherits your position, it is only natural to expect that the prestige of the beggars clan will expand at some time in the future." Reading up to here, Qiao Feng felt that this senior held himself in extremely high esteem, so in his heart he was very grateful to him for that. He continued reading. "But there's not a day that I don't think about the bloody battle at Yanmen Pass and the shocking situations at that time. This child doesn't belong to our ethnic group. His father and mother died because of both of us. In the future, if he doesn't know about his origin, then there would be no problems. Otherwise, not only will the Beggars clan be destroyed in his hands, Wulin in the Central Plains will also have to face a massive catastrophe. At the present time, the people whose wits and martial arts can rival those of that child are extremely rare. It's not an outsider's job to interfere in the Beggars clan's important internal affairs, but our friendship is far beyond what is usual. Moreover, the involvement of this matter is too huge. Please give it careful consideration." The signature at the foot of it had already been torn off by Qi Guang. Right. So whoever this leader was, he advised the Chief Wang not to put Xiao Feng in the chief position. Okay, so he was against that. After reading the letter, Xiao Feng stood in stunned silence. Seeing that, Elder Shu held out another letter and said, "This is Chief Wang's personal letter. You should recognize his handwriting." Xiao Feng received it. He only saw the letter paper read, "Instructions to Vice Chief Ma of the Beggar Society, the Elder of Merit Propagation, the Elder of Rule Enforcement, and the other elders. If Xiao Feng has any deed that is pro-Liao and anti-Han, and helps Khitan fight against the Great Song, the whole Beggars clan must join forces to kill him, and make no mistake. Poisoning and assassination can both be applied. The killer will get credit for and not be guilty of doing so. Wang Jiantong, personally penned." Oh, so even the previous chief, Chief Wang, said that if Xiao Feng has any suspicious activity, you are allowed to kill him by poisoning or like assassination. Which sucks because Chief Wang was kind of his mentor. The date written at the end of the letter was Great Song, the 6th Yuanfeng year, the 7th day of the 5th month. Xiao Feng remembered clearly that it had been the day he had taken over the chief of the Beggars clan position. And we're done. All right. Did you guys like that? That was a pretty big scene. Big revelations. Okay. So it seems like Xiao Feng's life is kind of falling apart. Right. He thought he was a Han, but it seems like he is a Khitan. Right. He hates Khitan people. So now it turns out that he is a Khitan person. And he finds out that a lot of his mentors and stuff, they were all suspicious of him, right? Which probably doesn't wouldn't make you feel that good, right? So he's probably super sad at the moment. All right. Yeah, good episode. All right. Tune in next time to see what happened. Or to see what will happen. All right, I have some sparkling wine this time. Yeah, there you go. Let's see how this tastes. Joshua, you have a suggestion for a video? What is your suggestion? Ooh. Cheers. Good stuff. Suggestion is I make a video about Sankin Kotai. What is that? I'll look it up. Alright guys. I hope you guys liked it. Thanks for joining. I love you. And I will see you next week, right? I love you. Bye.